Okay. We made the opening sequence of a thriller. I would say would define as a supernatural version of the thriller of moral confrontation, because there's a kind of good and evil thing going on. And then you can go on by saying our narrative had a slight twist of the horror genre, and incorporates many horror elements. Yeah. Now here, remember, you're the filmmakers, so you might want to say, because we didn't want the audience to know, as they watch the opening sequence. And then here, however, if they proceeded later into the film, then the unknown would be good. By the Foley sound we used throughout our piece. Let's think of a phrase to add more effect is a bit vague. So to something along the lines of to give the audience a feeling of uncertainty and suspense in the graveyard scene. And here I would say sound design was important here. The mixture of diegetic and non-diegetic sound meant that I guess what I'm saying here is don't say, oh, if we'd only had the music. Say we deliberately combined these diegetic and non-diegetic elements in the sound design because we wanted to have this effect. Yeah. I wouldn't say a real life feeling. I would say a richer and more complex soundscape that increased the power, the effect that it had on the audience. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say here. I think that's repetitious. I don't think you need that bit.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're kind of saying the same thing about. And here, I think you're right about the repetition of the golf club and the ball. I think here it does two things. I think it emphasizes the location, the normality of a golf club, and the audience would be familiar with those sounds. But it also, because it repeats, it begins to become a kind of theme, a bit like a heartbeat, which suggests that there might be something sinister going on. Is that right? Or no? It's just there to give the sound of the golf club.
No, it was when you hear the golf club.
Yeah.
It's when the title comes up.
Okay. Well. I see. Sorry. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So then we need to just say. So then we'd say something like to give the sequence a sense of rhythm, yeah, and to synchronize the sound with the vision, yeah. Okay. We thought this had a sophisticated effect, yeah. Okay, I know you've said that, or we've just said that. Yeah, so here, transparent just doesn't need an S there. Here, you need to be using more kind of film-specific terminology, and that would be things like the font. We chose this font, named the font, because we felt it was clear and also gave a sense of whatever it might be. It wasn't particularly horror, was it?
No, it was just it came up and then it like flashed away.
But the actual font you used, like comic, you know what I mean? Like
we used a Catfish one.
Yeah, so the one from Catfish. Is it called
No.
Catfish?
Yeah, it was called Catfish.
Okay, so say something about, we chose the font Catfish because it was clear and simple, and we thought it was allow us to give the audience to the information we wanted to without connoting anything else. Because what it doesn't do, some people have fonts with blood dripping.
Can I say that we picked that one because it's quite elegant as well, and golf.
Exactly.
Like a golf club is quite an elegant place.
Absolutely. That's fine. And then talk about positioning as well. So I was very careful about where I positioned. I mean, this is fine what you're saying, but don't say put, say positioned.
Okay.
Yeah, because more formal language works better. And also say something along the lines of, it was important to me, the composition of each frame was important when I put a title in, to make sure the audience could see what they needed to see, as well as getting the information. All right. So again, it's exactly what you've said here, but just in a slightly more formal way. And here I would say the sequences where the shed appears in the sequence, I was very happy with. What's your? You see your workout 684 already.
Yeah. So I only have enough space for the last one that we have to do in the conclusion.
Yeah. And a sound effect of sharp metal being scratched. I think we need to say something a bit more sophisticated than this is the worst pace on the golf course. So
narrative, I'll give you my one.
That so to make it clear to the audience that the supernatural, if you want to use a fancy word, disequilibrium, which means upsetting. Have we done that in Todorov? Have you talked about that? Okay. When in a film something is upset, we talk about disequilibrium. Or the threat, if you want to be more straightforward, that the represents the threat that will bring the disequilibrium that starts the narrative off. Because sure enough, I don't know, but sure enough, at some point quite early on, there'll be someone out at 6 o'clock in the morning hitting their first few balls, and they'll have to go into the shed to get one, and they'll be dead.
Yeah.
That's how it happens, and that's the disequilibrium, and now we have to start finding out what's gone wrong, and that's how the story works. So maybe something along those lines. Yeah, and again, I think you could say this here. What you haven't said is POV, point of view. I think you could say here one idea or cinematography. Cinematography was important in that we wanted we used POV shots to put the audience in the position of the zombie. We wanted them to have this perspective to give a real sense of foreboding and to foreshadow the killing that's going to come later on in the film. It was our plan. This creates a sense of mystery because the audience don't realise where the threat is coming from. Partly because they are the threat. 1 second.